Good news, everyone. We've all been saved, rescued from our own tanking economy. You're saying to yourself, how, Sheila? How did this miracle happen? Well, those two paragons of accountable government, those two fiscal hawks of confederation, Rachel Notley and Kathleen Wynne, met to discuss Canada's new green future. Okay, I'm just talking crazy right now. These two could not manage a lemonade stand, let alone a major economy. I mean, in fact, I'm sort of convinced they'd tax the sugar in their own lemonade. But on Friday, they met to discuss their new plans to tax everything that moves, grows, burns, warms us, feeds us, and powers us. Rachel Notley has her brand new carbon tax and Kathleen Wynne has a cap and trade scheme. In my head, their meeting went something like this. But in reality, it wasn't much better. Rachel Notley's statement read as such: "It is time for all Canadians to recognize and appreciate the climate leadership we've seen here in Ontario." Do you know what? I can't even read this with a straight face. You know what? I'll keep going. Notley said this province acted decisively to reduce its own emissions by phasing out coal. There was a cost to ensuring that Ontario has a clean and reliable electricity system, but there are also huge savings from clean air. Ontario is continuing to lead with the cap and trade program it will be phasing in shortly. Of course, Rachel Notley thinks Ontario is leading the way in reducing climate change. Notley believes it so much, she hired Toronto anti-fossil fuel activist Brian Topp as her chief of staff. This is him here.
Hard cap on emissions, to price carbon, a home and industrial retrofit program, getting out of coal, getting an urban mass transit program, and getting fossil-fueled cars out of our cities.
And yes, let's all recognize and appreciate the climate leadership the Ontario government has shown. Climate leadership like, I don't know, cramming unwanted and unsightly and unproductive wind turbines into rural Ontario communities to help urbanites feel good about going green without having to live in the shadow of those monstrosities. Oh, and climate leadership like a rapid phase out of affordable coal-powered electrical generation that immediately caused a bump in the cost of power. The Ontario Auditor General's report has said that Ontarians have overpaid for electricity by $37 billion in the last 8 years. And if nothing changes in the Liberals' mismanagement of electricity regulation, that amount will grow by an additional $133 billion over the next 18 years. Oh, and don't forget how all that expensive energy has priced manufacturing right out of business. That's some pretty sweet climate leadership right there. When people are out of work, they've got no extra money to waste driving around frivolously or heating their homes above 16 degrees Celsius. Oh, and there's my very favorite example of Ontario climate leadership. Using acts of nature to try to bully your opposition into agreeing with you, like when the Ontario Liberal Minister of Climate Change, Glenn Murray, used the fatal Goderich, Ontario tornado to push his climate change agenda. Here.
Let me share with the member what I think Ontarians can't afford. The residents of Goderich and her constituency can't afford another devastating tornado, Mr. Speaker. They can't afford it. The people in Burlington, Mr. Speaker, cannot afford to see their operating rooms wiped out by 100-year floods, 2 in 24 months.
Of course, I'm being sarcastic, and really none of this is funny. The Ontario Liberals, in their quest to green up their future, has chased away business, made families live in energy poverty, and resorted to outlandish hyperbole about weather to sell their ideas. If this is the climate leadership Rachel Notley wants us to appreciate, we are in real trouble in Alberta. For the Rebel.media, I'm Sheila Gunn Reid.